unveiling the curtain of crime. As I was collecting scraps, I stumbled upon a street event. "Here's 100 yuan for you, Grandma. Whatever you use it for, I'll pay." I accepted the 100 yuan bill from the streamer, a faint, relieved smile playing on my lips. He had no idea how I would use this money. Before hundreds of thousands of viewers on his live stream channel, I would publicly kill 3 people. Just as I was putting the plastic bottles I'd collected from a trash bin into my sack, I heard a voice call from behind. "Grandma, here's 100 yuan for you. Feel free to spend it on whatever you like." A well-dressed man, his eyes betraying a hint of disdain, pointed his phone camera directly at me. Seeing my bewildered expression, he quickly pulled out a crisp red bill and pressed it into my hand. "I'm live streaming. Just take the money, buy whatever you want." I clutched the bill, narrowing my eyes at his phone screen. Finally, I'm on air. Comments streamed by *. I get restless if I don't watch Kyle for a day. Kyle uses practical actions to help those in need. Give him a like. This scrap-collecting grandma looks so pathetic. Her clothes are dirty and torn. Hope this 100 yuan can improve her life somewhat. Comments flooded past, the number of viewers in the livestream room continuously rising, quickly reaching hundreds of thousands. I slipped the money into my pocket, nodding at the streamer, "Kyle. This many witnesses, it's enough." Kyle followed behind me, talking incessantly to the camera. "Everyone, Kyle, have been doing this 100 yuan street charity for a year now. The success I have today is thanks to all of your support. Rest assured, the people I choose to help are genuinely struggling and desperately need assistance. Although 100 yuan isn't much, it truly can make a difference for them. You might call me stingy, but my conscience is clear." Kyle's voice was very captivating. Soon the screen was filled with gift effects. He glanced at me and continued, "This old lady today must be around 60. At her age, she still has to go out collecting scraps, living by gathering waste. It's truly difficult. Let's see what useful things she can buy with this 100 yuan. With that, he quickened his pace to walk alongside me. "Grandma, where's your family? How can they let you, at such an old age, still be out collecting scraps?" I calmly replied, "I have no family left." Kyle sighed, shaking his head. "Oh, Grandma, you've suffered so much. If you need any help, just tell me, Kyle. I definitely won't ignore you." I turned my head and stared at him silently. Startled by my gaze, he stammered, "Grandma, what's wrong?" I curved the corner of my mouth, smiling faintly. "Nothing at all. You're helping me right now." We walked and chatted aimlessly, and I led him to a fruit stall in the market. The stall was at the foot of an old building, deserted with no one in sight. A woman my age, Tina, glanced at me, then lethargically stepped out, grudgingly asking, "What do you want to buy?" I pointed to a bundle of sugar cane placed nearby. She looked me up and down, irritably saying, "Sugar cane is 30 yuan a stalk. Do you even have money?" I held up the bill in my hand and shook it at her. Only then did she slowly pick up a stalk of sugar cane to peel. Comments flooded in *. This old lady is so poor, she gets money and immediately wants something sweet. Wait, there's something wrong with this stall. Sugarcane, even expensive, is only 20 yuan a stalk. Plus, she's picking the oldest one for her. Streamer, tell her. Kyle stood by, looking at the screen, and quietly said, "Everyone, the streamer's principle is only to give money, not to interfere. So in this case, I can't intervene." After Tina finished peeling, I could clearly see the sugar cane was dry and withered, with dark spots inside. She walked to a sugar cane cutting machine not far away, and with a * swish, chopped the sugar cane into pieces and put them in a bag, then turned to me for payment. I shook my head, running a hand through my hair, which had been messed up by the strong wind. Under her astonished gaze, I held up 2 more fingers. "Give me 2 more stalks." Tina's face lit up with joy, and she hurriedly took 2 more terrible-looking sugar cane stalks to peel. Comments on the screen agitatedly reminded, *, is this old lady confused? She can't tell the sugar cane is rotten. Why is she buying so much? Can she even eat it all? Exactly, people save money for necessities, but her, she spends it all in one go. Kyle secretly glanced at his phone, a smirk playing on his lips. Controversy brings popularity. In just a moment, his livestream room gained tens of thousands more viewers. Tina moved quickly, swiftly processing the 2 remaining sugarcane stalks at the cutting machine. I stood before her, arms crossed, watching her coldly. As she finished packing the 3 bags of sugarcane, ready to hand them to me, another strong gust of wind blew through. Dirt on the ground mixed with various plastic bags swirled in the air. Tina instinctively raised a hand to rub her eyes. The next second, a dry, dull crack rang out. "Ah, my face!" She collapsed to the ground, her head smashed by a broken brick falling from an upper floor. Those around, recovering from their shock, simultaneously screamed in horror. Kyle's eyes widened, his hands gripping his phone tightly, the camera pointed directly at Tina's corpse. Comments surged like a tide. Comments asterisk, holy crap, someone actually died. Is this real or fake? Oh my god. The live stream witnessed the entire death. People at neighboring stalls called for emergency services and the police. Soon, ambulances and police cars arrived with blaring sirens. The doctor got out, took one look, and shook his head. The police observed the scene, took notes, and dispersed the curious crowd, while arranging for doctors to cover the body with a white sheet and place it on a stretcher. After everything was over, Kyle's face was gleeful, as if he'd gone mad. The livestream room was packed with comments, its popularity skyrocketing. He turned to the camera and continued, "Everyone, we just witnessed a live accident. A vibrant life disappeared right before our eyes. It's truly heartbreaking. No one knows what tomorrow or misfortune will bring first. However, the promise remains, our live stream won't stop. Let's continue now." Kyle smiled at me, the contempt in his eyes gone. After all, I was now his golden goose. I continued to lead him around the market. As I glanced at the screen, a few comments caught my eye. Why do I have a feeling that fruit stall owner was killed by this old lady? If she had just bought one less stalk of sugarcane, the owner would have left the cutting machine earlier and wouldn't have been hit by the falling brick and died. Many refuted. That owner was truly a dishonest merchant, bullying the old lady who didn't know better, deliberately giving her rotten sugarcane. People like that deserve to die. Exactly, if she lived, who knows how many more people she'd swindle. I looked at these comments, sneering inwardly. These people hid behind screens, standing on their self-proclaimed moral high ground, freely slandering those with different opinions. Their morality was, in fact, no more noble than Tina's. I glanced at Kyle, then stopped outside a cheap men's clothing store. I casually picked up a 10 yuan red tie, tugging it firmly with both hands. Kyle nodded. After paying, I handed the tie to Kyle. "Take it, this is a gift for you." Kyle looked at the cheap red tie, his expression awkward. "Oh my, she's just too kind. I've been watching live streams for so long, this is the first time someone spent 100 yuan to buy a gift for a streamer like this." Comments asterisk, Waya, according to her generation's beliefs, men wearing suits and ties are the most handsome and successful. That's why she bought a tie for the streamer. Streamer, this is her sincerity, please accept it. Immediately, countless gift effects flooded the screen. Kyle glanced at the comments, then smiled and accepted the tie. "Thank you, Grandma. Out of politeness, I shouldn't accept, but I don't want to make you sad, so I'll humbly accept." I smiled, watching him hold the tie against his neck. The bright red tie wrapped around his collar, fitting perfectly, neither too big nor too small. I led Kyle straight ahead, observing our surroundings as we walked, then stopped in front of a small stall selling pumpkin seeds and dried goods. The stall owner was an elderly couple. Seeing me approach, they greeted me warmly. I took out the remaining 90 yuan from my pocket and gently placed it into the basin holding pumpkin seeds. "I need 90 yuan worth of pumpkin seeds." The woman, Lisa, looked hesitant. "Girl, not many people buy pumpkin seeds. My husband and I didn't prepare much stock, and someone bought a little recently. There's not enough for 90 yuan here." She glanced at the money and suggested, "How about I ride my bike home and get it for you? My house is nearby, you'll only have to wait about 10 minutes. Seeing me agree, she told her husband, Luke, to watch the stall, took the 90 yuan, and happily rode off on her bike. Luke glanced at us, then continued to bob his head, headphones on, scrolling through his phone. Kyle felt a bit bored and initiated a conversation with me. "Grandma, why are you buying so many pumpkin seeds? My daughter liked to eat them, but wasn't your daughter. When she was alive, she loved to eat." Kyle realized his slip of the tongue, gave a few awkward laughs, then turned to talk to Luke. Luke chuckled, pointing at Kyle. "I knew it, this is your 100 yuan street game, isn't it? I participated before, and with that 100 yuan I bought a lot of things. This lady is really too extravagant, spending all her money on pumpkin seeds," he said, picking up a cup of tea and gulping it down in a long swig. As he put the cup down, Luke stared at me, his face twisted as if he'd seen something terrifying. His pupils dilated, his face filled with fear, his hand gripping the hem of his shirt, He collapsed onto the stall. Kyle also panicked, standing frozen, unsure what to do. Comments in the live stream room repeatedly urged him. "Streamer, he's pale, his lips are blue, he must be having a heart attack, quickly find his medicine to put under his tongue." Kyle frantically searched Luke's person. He couldn't find it, then ransacked all possible storage spots on the stall, but still nothing. At this point, Luke was stammering incoherently. "Wife, my wife." Kyle suddenly slapped his thigh. "Darn it, the medicine is with his wife." Luke's face was contorted in pain, and his phone couldn't unlock with facial recognition. The neighboring stall owner was also frantic, taking out his phone to call Luke's wife. She must have been cycling, as her phone couldn't be reached. Kyle reassured the audience on screen. "She said she'd be back in just 10 minutes or so. She should be arriving soon." However, the neighboring stall owner was so anxious he stomped his foot. "She was afraid you wouldn't wait, so she lied." From here to her house, getting the goods, and coming back would take at least an hour. Time passed, second by second. Luke writhed in agony on the ground, but no one dared to rush forward to administer first aid. I stared at him, sneering inwardly. Society today, everyone only thinks about protecting themselves. The risk of helping others is too great. Slowly, Luke's body convulsed, growing weaker, until finally he lay still. Finally, Lisa and the ambulance arrived at the same time. The doctor glanced at Luke, then shook his head with a sigh. Lisa knelt beside her husband's body, crying heartbrokenly. The doctor clearly said his condition was stable. Why did it suddenly get so serious? "If I had known this would happen, you could have killed me and I wouldn't have pursued this money." At this point, the livestream room completely exploded. 2 deaths in one livestream, it was too absurd. Truly a real-life death map. This old lady is terrifying. Wherever she goes to buy things, someone dies. The number of viewers in the livestream room surged, and its hotness climbed to the #1 spot on the rankings. But Kyle couldn't manage a smile, looking at me with fear in his eyes. I lifted the bag of pumpkin seeds from Lisa's electric bike, waved at him, and turned to leave. "The money's all spent, I should go now. Oh, good luck to you." I returned to my residence, an abandoned house. On the old octagonal table was a memorial photo. In the black and white photo, a girl smiled brightly, dimples at the corners of her lips. I took a clean cloth, carefully wiped the memorial photo, then took out a handful of pumpkin seeds and placed them before the photo. After doing everything, I sat on the chair, quietly closing my eyes. I don't know how much time had passed, but outside, police sirens wailed. Footsteps echoed, and several police officers rushed in. "Professor Jean, we currently suspect you are involved in 2 murders. Please cooperate with the investigation." I stood up, smiling, and offered my hands. In the interrogation room, I had been sitting there for 5 or 6 hours. I knew this was a common police tactic. It could wear down a suspect's will and sharpness. Furthermore, an unfamiliar environment would make it easier for their psychological state to change. Once treated like this, it showed that you had truly attracted the attention of the police. Finally, the interrogation room door opened. A burly police officer slowly sat down opposite me. "I am Detective Alex." Professor Jean, a psychology professor at a prestigious university, resigned a year ago and has been living by collecting scraps near the market. "I'm very curious. What made you abandon the pinnacle and willingly step into this quagmire?" I gave a faint smile. "Everyone has their own passions to pursue, don't they?" Detective Alex narrowed his eyes, sneering at me. "That's not wrong, I like to hear that. But if this pursuit is illegal, then it's a different matter. Today, when you went shopping, 2 people died right before your eyes. Isn't that too much of a coincidence?" I spread my hands, feigning helplessness. "Everyone has their own fate. If the king of hell wants to take someone, how can I stop him?" Detective Alex smiled coldly, throwing a stack of photos onto the table. "Although you are currently living in an abandoned house, we've discovered quite a few things in your former villa." The photos showed a bedroom, with pictures plastered all over the walls. The people in the photos were indeed the fruit stall owner, Tina, and the pumpkin seed stall owner, Luke, who had died before my eyes today. The pictures, taken from various angles, recorded their every action and gesture. In the middle of the room, there was also a whiteboard, on which their portrait photos were taped. Around them, numerous small notes detailed their social relationships, schedules, and timelines. Detective Alex raised an eyebrow. "You did this," I nodded. "This is a social experimental study I conducted, aiming to understand the daily lives of small vendors. Is that illegal?" His voice hitched, then he snorted coldly. We initially suspect that the deaths of these two people are connected to you. I gave a bitter laugh. Officer, one person was hit by a falling brick due to strong winds, and another had a sudden heart attack. Even if I was unlucky enough to be nearby at the time, you can't conclude that I personally took their lives, can you? Detective Alex shook his head slightly. It's entirely possible that an invisible hand was involved in all these events. I've sent people to check above to see if there's any evidence of someone tampering with the wall, and the tea water samples from the thermos have also been sent for analysis. Now, if you honestly confess the whole truth, I can still try to help you receive leniency after self-surrender. He finished, leaning back forcefully in his chair, closing his eyes slightly to rest. I realized this was his way of putting psychological pressure on me. I didn't waver, imitating his posture, leaning back in my chair. Time slowly passed. The door to the room opened, and a young police officer entered, holding 2 stacks of documents. Detective Alex suddenly sprang up from his chair, his sharp eyes flashing. He took the documents, waving them in front of me. "Professor Jean, I'll give you one last chance." Seeing me maintain a calm, expressionless face, he was so angry he let out a laugh, slamming the documents onto the table and quickly flipping through them. With each rustle of paper, Detective Alex's complexion gradually worsened. Finally, beads of sweat dotted his forehead. Detective Alex looked at me with astonishment, his face showing clear disbelief. "How can there be no problems found?" I smiled sadly. "Officer, since there are no problems, may I leave now? Please rest assured, if you ever need my cooperation in the future, I'll be happy to assist any time." Detective Alex gritted his teeth. "You're rushing to leave like this. Perhaps there's still one more person you haven't dealt with yet?" I looked at him in surprise. "Officer, I wouldn't dare bear such a heavy accusation. Without concrete evidence, I hope you won't hastily convict based on baseless speculation." Detective Alex snorted coldly, then pulled a photo from his pocket. It was a portrait of Kyle. Kyle's face had a large red X drawn across it with a marker. "This was also found at your house. If I'm not mistaken, he's your next target, isn't he? What method do you plan to use to eliminate him this time?" I sighed, propped my hands on the table, and shifted into a more comfortable posture. People's prejudices are truly a solid fortress. "Officer, this photo only proves that I dislike him. It doesn't conclude that I will definitely kill him. If he were to suddenly pass away now, would you also jump to the conclusion that I used some method to harm him?" Detective Alex opened his mouth to say something. A loud asterisk bang echoed as the interrogation room door was forcefully pushed open, and a young police officer rushed in, breathless. "Detective Alex, the streamer Kyle just passed away." Detective Alex shot up from his seat, the chair skidding several feet away. He stared at me, roaring, "How did Kyle die?" The officer's face was ashen, his eyes showing clear fear. "He hanged himself with a red tie during a live stream, witnessed by tens of thousands of people." "Impossible. How could a living person suddenly commit suicide?" "It's true. The live stream recording has already spread online. The information team is working urgently to reassure the public," the young officer stammered, shrinking back. Detective Alex gasped, waving the officer out. He turned back, grinding his teeth, and glared at me. "Professor Jean, Kyle's death is definitely connected to you." I tilted my head, looking at him silently. "Officer, do you often make accusations based on speculation like this? I'm in an interrogation room. How could I possibly use some supernatural power to control him from afar? If you genuinely can't provide any concrete evidence, then it's time to release me, isn't it?" Detective Alex looked at me deeply. "I will definitely find the evidence." He finished and turned to leave. Not long after, someone came in and removed my handcuffs. I walked out of the police station and went to the old abandoned house to retrieve my daughter's memorial photo. I returned to my former home, pushed the door open, and a sense of unfamiliarity washed over me. When my daughter was alive, I never realized how empty and lonely the spacious living room would become when I was left alone. I walked into the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and paused. The reflection showed a woman with messy, graying hair, dark skin, and tiny crow's feet at the corners of her eyes. Even my closest students probably wouldn't recognize this as Professor Jean, the always gentle and knowledgeable lecturer. Gazing at my appearance, I felt no sadness. Instead, I burst into hearty laughter, laughing until I couldn't stand straight anymore. I soaked in a hot bath to relax, then crawled into bed and slept soundly. This sleep lasted until the sun was high. On my phone, which was on silent mode, there were several missed calls from unknown numbers. Just as I was about to call back, I heard the doorbell ring. I got dressed and went downstairs, surprised to see who was at the door. Detective Alex was in casual clothes, his eyes red and bloodshot, his beard scraggly, holding a cup of coffee. He walked in and slumped onto the sofa. "I haven't slept since yesterday. Finally, everything is clear." I slowly made him a hot cup of tea and gestured for him to continue. "To clarify this case, we first need to understand the relationship between you and the three deceased. After investigation, I found that you and the three of them were like four parallel lines. The only intersecting point was your daughter, Jeanette. When I heard my daughter's name, my eyes twitched slightly. As far as I know, the 100 yuan street action campaign was initiated by your daughter, Jeanette. The video she filmed about this campaign quickly became a trend, attracting a lot of attention. Tina, the fruit vendor, and Luke, the dried goods vendor, had both participated in Jeanette's 100 yuan street campaign. Afterward, rumors spread that Jeanette faked videos and embezzled donations from kind-hearted people. This led Jeanette to suffer a fierce wave of cyberbullying. Although she locked her account, the cyberbullying didn't stop. Finally, Jeanette committed suicide by jumping from a building. After her death, a person named Tran used the ID Kyle to continue the 100 yuan street campaign. In just one short year, he rose from an unknown streamer to one of the top streamers with millions of followers. "This is all the surface information I've collected," Detective Alex said, then picked up his teacup, blew on it, and took a large gulp. "If you're here today just to rub salt in my wounds, then please leave immediately." Faced with my coldness, Detective Alex shook his head. "Based on this information, I've understood your motive for the crime. The reason you killed those three people was to avenge your daughter, Jeanette." I was about to defend myself, but Detective Alex cut me off. His bloodshot eyes stared straight at me. "Please don't refute yet, let me present all my deductions." I nodded slightly, gesturing for him to continue. The cyberbullying against Jeanette became increasingly severe because Tina and Luke came forward to confirm the rumors. In videos, they cried as they recounted that Jeanette had contacted them to film videos, then completely cut off contact. They claimed they had no idea anyone had quietly supported them, and they themselves hadn't received a single penny from Jeanette. But now, from being scrap collectors, they have unexpectedly become small vendors, acquiring their own stalls and goods, and have escaped the bottom of society. Where did this money come from? Don't you think it's possible they received money from Tran to falsely accuse Jeanette, so Tran could use this opportunity to attract attention and rise higher? As Detective Alex spoke, his eyes were fixed on my face. Finally, it seemed he had read the answer he wanted from my expression, and he broke into a triumphant smile. "It seems I guessed the truth. The motive for the crime is clear. Now, let's talk about how you carried it out. Early this morning, I mobilized the entire police force to the market where the incident occurred to question those involved. Gathering these testimonies, I finally uncovered the truth." After asking for my opinion, Detective Alex lit a cigarette. "Someone reported that for the past year, you frequently visited the building behind the fruit stall to collect scraps. In the hallway, there were many trash bags left overnight in front of doors. You would open those trash bags, collect plastic and paper. Because you always returned the trash bags to their original state, no one complained. But I don't believe you were simply collecting trash. Using brute force to loosen a brick on the wall would be easily detected. But what if you spent a whole year, silently pushing a little, wiggling a little, every day? With the perseverance of dripping water wearing away stone, no one would notice a murder plan cultivated over a year. You knew it was a windy day, so you intentionally bought sugar cane, and a lot of it, just to make Tina stand a little longer right beneath that brick. Looking at the final result, you succeeded perfectly." In the hazy smoke, Detective Alex's voice grew more confident. "As for Luke, I always wondered why he didn't keep his emergency medicine on him but entrusted it to his wife. After questioning his wife, Lisa, I learned that Luke used to always carry his medicine, but for about a year now, he frequently lost it. Since medicine isn't cheap, his wife started keeping it all. After all, they were always together, so there wouldn't be any problem. The strange thing is, ever since his wife kept the medicine, it was never lost again. I believe that throughout that year, you blended into the market, finding opportunities to steal Luke's medicine. It wouldn't have been difficult." Faced with this accusation, I merely sneered. I could have taken his medicine, but how could I control his heart attack? Detective Alex flicked the cigarette ash, the corner of his mouth curving slightly. I've seen Jeanette's photo. She really looks just like you. Luke must have always felt guilty for causing Jeanette's death. I watched the live stream recording over and over again and noticed that when Luke was drinking water, you made a gesture. You pulled back the fringe of your hair that covered most of your face and tied it into a ponytail. That hairstyle was your daughter Jeanette's favorite. A hairstyle can greatly change one's appearance. A different hairstyle can even completely transform a person's face. Try to imagine. Luke had just finished drinking water and suddenly saw the old woman with messy hair in front of him, who then suddenly looked exactly like the girl he had caused to die. Wouldn't he be so scared that he'd have a heart attack and collapse? I remained silent, only gently asking, "What about Tran then? He died by suicide right in front of tens of thousands of people. Was that also caused by me?" Detective Alex raised a finger and wagged it in front of me. "Tran did die by suicide, I don't doubt that. What I want to know is why he died by suicide, and why he chose to die by suicide witnessed by so many people. After investigating Tran's background and circumstances, I discovered that he has a 4-year-old son. Furthermore, Tran has fertility issues. He had to undergo many treatments before his wife could conceive the child. This son is very likely the only child in his life. His son is more precious to him than gold and jade. If you used his son to threaten him into suicide, this matter is entirely possible." I leaned back on the soft sofa, slowly saying, "Detective Alex, these are just your conjectures." Detective Alex pulled out a phone from his pocket and held it in front of me. "Perhaps you don't know that WeChat data can be recovered, do you? Before Tran committed suicide, he deleted a contact. That person had called him. We checked that WeChat account and found it was registered with another one of your phone numbers. How do you intend to explain this?" For a moment, my fingers tightened around the hem of my shirt. Seeing this, the corner of Detective Alex's mouth curled into a triumphant smile. Seeing me remain silent, he continued, "I guess that after calling him, you revealed your identity. Then you told Tran that Tina and Luke didn't die by accident but were killed by you. If he didn't follow your instructions, you would use similar methods to kill his son. Tran had witnessed 2 people die right before his eyes that day. He must have been absolutely terrified. For his son, he had no choice but to follow your words. Suicide in front of tens of thousands of people with the tie you gave him. Professor Jean, am I correct?" I smiled faintly, regaining my composure. The detective's imagination is truly rich, very suitable for writing novels. But to accuse me, you still need concrete evidence, don't you? Detective Alex's smile vanished, and he looked at me sternly. "Professor Jean, you were truly lucky that all the murder methods you orchestrated succeeded. But in the end, fate was not on your side." He opened his phone and played a video. The moment I saw the video screen, my whole body trembled. The scene in the video was on a rooftop. The image in the video was very blurry, the sky was dawnlit. The recording time was in the morning. A shadowy figure walked to the edge of the rooftop, gently pushing a brick on it with a gloved hand. On the screen, it was clearly me. Seeing my fear, Detective Alex took out handcuffs from his pocket. "I know you must have scouted thoroughly. There were no surveillance cameras on the rooftop. However, just a few days before the incident, a resident's clothes hung out to dry there were frequently stolen. Out of frustration, he bought a disguised camera and installed it, hoping to catch the clothes thief. In the end, he didn't catch the clothes thief but recorded a murderer." Detective Alex opened the handcuffs and slowly approached me. "Professor Jean, please come with me." I slumped back into the sofa, slowly closing my eyes. In the interrogation room, an officer closed his notebook, nodding reluctantly at Detective Alex. I had just confessed honestly to the motive and the entire process of my crime. My words almost perfectly matched Detective Alex's deductions. After the recording officer left, Detective Alex sighed, slowly sitting down opposite me. "As a father with a daughter, I understand your feelings. However, the law is unforgiving. According to your testimony, the possibility of facing the death penalty is very high." I smiled faintly, my heart relieved. "Detective Alex, your dedication is a blessing to the people. My husband died early, and my daughter was everything to me. From the day she left, every day I wished to follow her. It was the fire of hatred that gave me the strength to live until now. Now, the great revenge has been exacted. I have nothing left to cling to in this world. I think it's time for me to go meet my daughter." Detective Alex looked at me with regret, then silently left. I was detained for 5 days. Detective Alex visited during that time. He said the case caused a public uproar and would be handled urgently. After today, I would have to go to court and face sentencing. Moreover, given the serious nature of the case, a death sentence for me was almost certain. He looked at my face, which only wished for death, and just shook his head with a sigh. Time passed quickly. It was already dark. Suddenly, hurried footsteps echoed. Detective Alex, breathless, rushed in. His face showed surprise and doubt, his eyes staring at me as if trying to see through me. "Professor Jean, that person wasn't killed by you, was he?" I slowly lifted my head and looked directly into his eyes. "Detective Alex, are you teasing me? I'm going to court tomorrow, and now you're saying I didn't kill anyone?" Detective Alex's gaze was incredibly firm. These past few days, I've always had a feeling something wasn't right, as if I'd missed an important detail. This feeling haunted me even in my sleep. After 10 years as a police officer, I always trust my intuition. So I returned to your house one more time, and after a thorough search, I found something. This thing was like a torch, dispelling all doubts in my mind. He finished speaking, took a photo from his pocket, and held it in front of me. In the photo, Jeanette linked arms with my left arm, smiling and making a V sign. A young man stood to my right, looking into the camera with a smile. "I found this photo in a psychology book on the nightstand in your bedroom. Who is the man in the photo?" I frowned, showing annoyance. "That's my daughter's ex-boyfriend, Ryan. I can't believe this photo is still here. I must have forgotten to throw it away." Detective Alex put the photo away, looking at me with a perplexing smile. "Judging by your tone, it seems you really dislike this Ryan." I snorted coldly, my voice icy. When Jeanette was cyberbullied, he hastily broke up with her. He didn't even attend Jeanette's funeral. Truly a heartless person. Detective Alex nodded thoughtfully. "So that's how it is, this man is truly despicable. Well, can you recount your method of committing the crime again?" He abruptly changed the subject, which surprised me a little. However, urged by Detective Alex, I recounted it again. Detective Alex leaned against the wall, rhythmically tapping his knuckles on it. "One cannot see the true shape of Mount Lu when one is in the mountain. There's new information. Looking back at your statement, there are indeed many questionable points." He chuckled self-mockingly, holding up a finger in front of me. "First, a brick falling on someone's head due to wind is too random. It was windy that day, but the timing of the brick fall was completely uncontrollable. You couldn't guarantee that the brick would hit Tina's head precisely when you were buying sugar cane. Second, Luke's death. My deduction is also uncertain. Although you are Jeanette's mother and have a similar appearance, the age difference still creates a distinction between you and a young, vibrant Jeanette. Unless Jeanette herself appeared before Luke, he wouldn't have been scared to that extent just by seeing you. Third, it's hard to believe that a mere threatening phone call could make Tran commit suicide. Tran hired someone to slander Jeanette, which shows he's not a timid person. Even if he knew you intended to kill his son, he could have easily taken his son and fled. As a famous streamer, Tran had financial freedom. If he couldn't provoke you, why couldn't he escape? Detective Alex, stop beating around the bush. Just say what you mean. Detective Alex didn't answer my question directly but continued. If there was a third party in this case, these questionable points would be perfectly explained. A brick falling due to wind is hard to control, but if someone pushed it down, how? Someone hiding behind the rooftop wall, after hearing your voice, gently pushed the brick down at the right moment with their hand or an object. They wouldn't need to peek out. No one would detect someone on the roof. As for Luke, he might have been looking at you at that moment, but he could also have been looking at someone behind you. According to my investigation, your daughter's boyfriend, Ryan, is a highly skilled makeup artist. Makeup in the old days was also called the art of disguise. A good makeup artist can transform one person into someone completely different. Ryan only needed to find a girl with a few similar features to Jeanette and could transform her into Jeanette. That girl only needed to stand at a distance, staring at Luke, to scare him to death. To verify this speculation, I carefully reviewed the surveillance camera footage near Luke's stall. Finally, I saw a woman who looked very much like Jeanette passing by the camera. As Detective Alex spoke, his eyes continuously observed my face, not missing any subtle expression. Finally, Tran's death. If you truly wanted to force him to commit suicide, I can only think of one possibility. During the call, Tran heard his son's voice. He knew that if he didn't follow your instructions, you would kill his son. He dared not call the police, dared not take a gamble, so he had no choice but to commit suicide to save his son. I suddenly interrupted him. Detective Alex, you are truly brilliant. I accessed Tran's son and used him to create sounds on the phone. Only then would Tran willingly die. Even if I don't like Ryan, I wouldn't let him bear the blame for me. These things were truly all done by me alone. Detective Alex pointed a finger at me, suddenly raising his voice. Professor Jean, how long do you intend to protect him? He continued. I already asked. When Tran received the call, his wife was taking their son to an amusement park in the north of the city. He stressed that you were still in the abandoned building in the south, completely unable to contact his son. So the real culprit is not you, Professor Jean. There's still another person lurking behind you, completely hidden. That person is Ryan. Everything you've recounted was caused by him. I gritted my teeth, forcing a laugh. Detective Alex, think carefully. Ryan didn't even bother to attend my daughter's funeral. How could such a heartless person help me get revenge? As if anticipating my reaction, Detective Alex slowly replied, Professor Jean, look at the signs of use on the psychology book by your bedside. It seems you read it very often, don't you? If you hated Ryan so much, why would you keep his photo clipped in that book? I don't believe you and your daughter didn't have even one photo together. I fell silent for a moment. Detective Alex moved closer to me, his tone pressing. Ryan didn't attend Jeanette's funeral because the two of you had been preparing this revenge plan for a whole year. You were singularly focused on revenge, disregarding life and death, but couldn't execute this plan yourself. Ryan participated in the plan, helping you in the shadows, while you sought to take all the blame upon yourself, not wanting to implicate him. Therefore, Ryan deliberately acted cold and selfish to divert suspicion, making others not doubt him. I subconsciously recoiled, sweat beading on my forehead. Haha, then just arrest him. I don't like him anyway. It's even better if such a cold-blooded person is sentenced to death. Detective Alex stopped, looking at me coldly. Professor Jean, you don't need to provoke me. Once I make a deduction, there must be evidence to prove it. With that, he pulled out his phone and played a video. On the screen, a man was looking around, clearly very anxious. I recognized him with just a glance. It was Ryan. This footage is from the surveillance camera at the amusement park. Ryan appeared right when Tran's son was there. I'm afraid it's not a coincidence. Moreover, that day, Tran's wife's phone was lost, preventing her from receiving her husband's call. Tran's son told me that when his mother went to the restroom, a man wearing a hat came and told him to answer his father's call. While on the phone, the man pinched him, making him cry loudly. After he stopped crying, the man took the phone and left. I showed Tran's son Ryan's photo. It was recognized immediately as the man who made him answer the phone and pinched him until he cried. Professor Jean, it's come to this. What else do you have to say? I looked at him with empty eyes, my voice full of despair. Why? Why do you insist on finding the truth? Someone has already confessed, isn't that enough? Detective Alex looked at me with pity, sighing. What I need isn't someone to confess. I must find the truth. Only then can I be worthy of this uniform. Tell me, where is Ryan? Seeing me lower my head in silence, Detective Alex helplessly shook his head. Professor Jean, this is the last chance I'm giving you. If you don't tell me, I can still guess where Ryan is. On the day Tina died, I questioned the people living near that building. They said they didn't see any strangers coming or going, meaning in their eyes, Ryan wasn't a stranger. So Ryan is right there in that building. Furthermore, you've been arrested, so Ryan won't rush to flee. The most dangerous place is the safest place. It's very likely Ryan is still there. Before coming to see you, I sent plainclothes officers to arrest him. Once Ryan is caught, I'll find a way to make him tell the truth. Before his words finished, hurried footsteps echoed outside. An officer hadn't even reached the room, his voice already anxious. Detective Alex, during the arrest, Ryan used a rope to jump out the window and escape. The rope broke and he fell from a height, dying instantly. Detective Alex's eyes seemed to crack. He glared at me, then rushed out. The next day, the court session was postponed. A few days later, I met Detective Alex again. His face was haggard, the dark circles under his eyes more pronounced. Detective Alex looked at me with complex emotions and spoke at length. After Ryan's death, his phone was also shattered. After data recovery, the police discovered conversations between Ryan and me over the past year on his WeChat account. Ryan had always loved Jeanette deeply. After her death, he harbored thoughts of revenge. This entire plan was orchestrated by Ryan, while I quit my job, became a scrap collector, and willingly participated in his plan. He once said that when Jeanette was alive, she wanted to become a popular online personality to help more people. Therefore, he absolutely had to kill the 3 people who harmed Jeanette in front of tens of thousands of people. Because I longed to die, I appeared on the surface, actively taking all the blame. Ultimately, our plan succeeded, but we didn't expect to encounter a sharp police officer like Detective Alex, who, based on just one photo, uncovered the truth. Detective Alex finished speaking, then patted my shoulder, advising me that as an accomplice, my sentence would likely not be severe. 1 month later, the trial took place. I was convicted of assisting in murder and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Everything finally came to an end. Due to my advanced age and good conduct in prison, after several reductions in sentence, I was released from prison a year later. Not long after my release, I went for the Kingaming Festival. As I visited my daughter's grave, I met Detective Alex, who had just finished sweeping graves and was descending the mountain. He looked at me, his eyes filled with mixed emotions. Seeing me alone, Detective Alex cautiously inquired, "What are your plans now? Have you thought about your future days?" I sensed his hesitation, smiling and saying, "Don't worry, Detective Alex, I won't try to commit suicide on the mountain. There are still many days ahead. I must live on for my daughter's share as well." Detective Alex nodded, but his eyes still scanned the basket I was carrying. I knew he was checking if there was anything inside that could be used for suicide. We exchanged a few pleasantries and then said our goodbyes. After a few steps, I suddenly heard Detective Alex call from behind. "Professor Jean, it seems you only brought part of the grave-sweeping items. Aren't you going to sweep Ryan's grave?" I didn't turn back, replying, "I'm old now, my memory isn't good. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would have forgotten about little Ryan. It's okay, I'll make it up to him next time." Hearing this, Detective Alex's voice began to tremble, tinged with both fear and regret. "Professor Jean, wait a moment, I have something else to ask you." I turned back and gave him a standard smile. "Everything is over, isn't it, Detective Alex? Please let me continue." After all, people must look forward, why should we always look back? After saying this, I didn't turn back again but continued walking up the mountain. All the way to the summit, I looked down, and Detective Alex's figure still stood motionless there. "My name is Professor Jean, a psychology professor at a prestigious university. My classes were always packed with students. Whenever I lectured, I would often begin with the statement, 'Your subconscious controls your life, and you call it fate.' I believed that by using external suggestions to influence a person's subconscious, one could change their perception and even their destiny. I just never expected that I would ultimately use the knowledge I had accumulated to commit crimes. They say if you want someone to believe something, the best way is to let them discover it themselves. That's why I deliberately created a few small distractions for Detective Alex. Even though I always spoke of hating Ryan, I allowed Detective Alex to find his photo clipped in the book I often read before bed. How could one clip a photo of someone they detest so vehemently in a book they read every night? From that, Detective Alex would firmly believe one thing. Not only did I not hate Ryan, but I also had a very good relationship with him. This would make him convinced that Ryan was my accomplice, the true mastermind behind everything. But that alone wasn't enough. Detective Alex was very intelligent. To make him believe the truth I constructed, more hints were needed. The second point, I leveraged Ryan's profession. I found a woman who resembled Jeanette, dressed her in clothes Jeanette used to wear, gave her the exact same hairstyle, and had her walk past the surveillance camera near Luke's stall. I wanted Detective Alex to believe that Luke, upon seeing the fake Jeanette, was so scared he fell ill. Knowing Ryan was a top makeup artist, he would surely attribute this to Ryan's hand. But would Luke truly fall ill because of that woman who looked like Jeanette? A treacherous, ungrateful person who slandered someone who had once helped him, would he really be easily frightened by a victim? If Detective Alex had investigated Luke more deeply, he would have found that despite Luke's wickedness, he was also deeply devoted. He loved his wife very much. Luke frequently watched short videos, and after his wife passed away, I sent a video to his account. That video was a fake news report saying that a woman in blue clothes, named Lisa, was run over by a truck and died near the market. Luke's wife was named Lisa, and she also wore blue clothes that day. Hearing this news, he fell ill and collapsed. Afterward, his mouth kept calling his wife's name, not because of drugs on his wife's person, but to confirm if his wife had indeed met with misfortune. I threw Detective Alex off track on many things, but there's one thing I told the truth about. I hated Ryan, I hated him even more than Tran. Because the main reason my daughter, Jeanette, committed suicide was Ryan. It must be known that my daughter, through her 100 yuan street action and the donations of anonymous kind-hearted viewers, had helped many poor people, even changing the fates of some. Many people on social media trusted and supported her. Just the 2 accusatory videos from Tina and Luke were not enough to make Jeanette endure such a fierce storm of cyberbullying. She was collecting evidence, trying to clear her name, and the situation was gradually improving. But at this crucial moment, she was dealt a fatal blow from behind by the person closest to her. Ryan took money from Tran and secretly altered Jeanette's accounting data, turning the matter of her embezzling donations into undeniable evidence. When the evidence was released, those who had supported Jeanette felt deceived and attacked her with venomous words. After the incident, Jeanette immediately guessed that Ryan had betrayed her. The external pressure and the betrayal of her lover caused her to collapse and seek death. In reality, my daughter Jeanette was a very optimistic person. When she was little, if she fell, she would get up first and then comfort me. "Mom, I'm fine, don't worry." In college, she had a car accident. When I visited, she lay motionless in her hospital bed, covered in white bandages. Seeing me cry, Jeanette smiled and wiped away my tears. "Don't worry, Mom, this strong child won't die." But this time, she couldn't comfort me one more time. If not for Ryan, my daughter wouldn't have died. I wanted revenge, and Ryan was my primary target. But my daughter and I had once made a promise. Whoever died first, the other would help them see the world they had never seen. We even made a list of places we both wanted to visit but hadn't had the chance. I just didn't expect my daughter to leave before me. Therefore, I couldn't die, and certainly couldn't die after avenging her. So I meticulously planned a perfect revenge for a whole year. First, I resigned from the university despite my superior's objections. I wore ragged clothes, moved into a dangerous abandoned building, and transformed myself into an old scrap collector. Next, I registered a new WeChat account with another phone. The profile picture, display name, and background image of this account were all identical to Ryan's. Every few days, I would chat with this fake Ryan. I talked about our plan, about how much he loved Jeanette, about his hatred for the 3 culprits, Tran. What I mentioned most was how I would take the blame for him and how he would escape safely. I did this for a whole year. Then everything unfolded just as Detective Alex discovered. I observed and filmed every action of Tina and Luke, watching them use the money Tran gave them to buy stalls and start small businesses. Their lives gradually became more prosperous, their faces increasingly cheerful. Meanwhile, my daughter was rotting beneath the dark earth. It was so unfair. After half a year, their lives became stable. Day after day, setting up their stalls and cleaning up, their daily routine became a tedious straight line. I knew the day of my revenge was drawing near. A few days before deciding to act, I deliberately stole clothes from a resident's rooftop. After 3 consecutive days, I discovered a surveillance camera in a hidden corner. After ensuring I would be recorded, I went to the wall, gently shaking the brick. This was the evidence I left for Detective Alex. I had researched in advance. He was the police officer in charge of this area. He was upright, astute, and had solved many major cases. I believed he would surely suspect me. Indeed, Detective Alex took me into the interrogation room that very evening. He presented the video I intentionally allowed to be recorded and accused me. But I knew he would definitely find the photo I left. He would certainly know that I alone could not have carried out these 3 cases and would inevitably shift my attention to Ryan. Everything I did was to stir his subconscious, making him suspect Ryan. At this point, my plan was more than halfway successful. I had thoroughly investigated the reason for Ryan's betrayal of Jeanette. He was involved in gambling and needed a lot of money to pay off debts. On the day Jeanette jumped to her death, he was still at the casino, his eyes bloodshot from losing. The evil nature of humans is very difficult to change. Before long, Ryan not only lost all the money Tran gave him, but also accrued massive debts. At this time, a person named Leo approached him, calling him brother. Leo knew Ryan had no place to stay, so he generously offered him to stay in his vacant house. That house was right behind Tina's fruit stall. That night, Leo contacted Ryan. He informed him that a loan shark boss was willing to help, lending Ryan money to rebuild his life, and arranged to meet him at an amusement park in the north of the city. While Ryan was busy searching for the lone shark, Leo secretly took Tran's wife's phone, standing next to Tran's son, and used my other WeChat account to message Tran. Leo also wore a hat that revealed the lower half of his face, which somewhat resembled Ryan. Thus, with just Tran's son's testimony and Ryan's image from the surveillance camera, Detective Alex completely convicted him. Leo had once confided in Ryan that he was carrying a large debt, always wary of his creditors. He had also installed an escape rope in his house to flee if anyone came looking for him. He warned Ryan to remember not to carry his phone to avoid being located. Ryan took these words to heart. When plainclothes police officers raided, he immediately used the prepared rope to slide down from the 7th floor. But the rope had been tampered with beforehand. It snapped, causing Ryan to fall to his death, his body shattered. Leo had been waiting. He threw the phone with the fake Ryan WeChat account I created right next to the body. After the police recovered the data, they would find the fabricated year-long chat history between me and Ryan. At that point, everything would be turned upside down. Ryan would become the mastermind, and I would just be an insignificant accomplice. Jeanette once filmed a video about a young man, around 20 years old, looking for expired bread in a trash bin. After being selected to participate in her program, he used 100 yuan for a quick meal, then spent the rest on scratch-off lottery tickets. The online community criticized him, calling him an incurable gambler. They thought giving him that money was a waste, better given to someone more deserving. But Jeanette befriended him on WeChat, hoping to help him escape his predicament. After getting Jeanette's WeChat, he became even more brazen. He constantly borrowed money, complaining about difficulties. I advised Jeanette not to lend. This kind of person never speaks the truth. The money surely goes to gambling. One night, the young man called Jeanette, his voice choked with emotion. "Sister, actually, I lied to you about everything. I gambled all your money away." Jeanette replied, "I know, but what I feared more was that you were truly in trouble. You're telling me the truth now, and I'm very happy. If you're willing to quit gambling, I'll do everything I can to help you." From then on, he never gambled again. That young man was Leo. He was the puppet master behind me, the Ryan in the story Detective Alex constructed. He was also the only person in this world besides me who cared about Jeanette. On the mountaintop, before Jeanette's grave, offerings and fresh flowers were laid out. The weeds around it were also neatly cleared. Leo took the basket from my hand, a gentle smile on his face. After sweeping the grave, both of us stood silently, looking at Jeanette's tombstone without a word. After a while, Leo spoke. "Auntie, after we descend the mountain, I'll go confess." He finished, then coughed a few times. "Wandering the streets before, my body was damaged. The doctors said I don't have long left to live. The reason I didn't tell you was because I was afraid you'd worry. Now that everything is over, I can go peacefully." Leo saw my worried look and quickly waved his hand. "Before, I was on the run from debt, scurrying around like a sewer rat. It wasn't until I met Sister Jeanette that I felt the sunlight, felt like I was living as a human. For the last stretch of my life, I want to live honorably." With that, Leo bowed to me. He looked at Jeanette's tombstone one last time, then turned and walked down the mountain. I silently watched his retreating figure as he followed the winding path downhill, growing smaller and smaller until he merged with Detective Alex.